Hey guys, tonight's story isn't soft. It's steel, smoke and stomach acid. We're crawling into the boots of someone you probably wouldn't want to be. A German soldier stationed along the Atlantic Wall, June 1944. No politics, no excuses, no Hollywood soundtrack. Just mud, hunger, and the sound of everything going wrong all at once. It's easy to look at history from above, like a map with neat arrows and clean borders. But this isn't the view from a map. It's from a trench. From behind a rusted MG42, with sand in your socks and thunder in your ears. D-Day is coming. For you, it's not called D-Day. It's just another Tuesday. Before we get into it, make sure to like the video and subscribe if this kind of miserable bedtime story helps you sleep for some reason. And tell me in the comments where you're watching from, or listening from, or hiding from. Now dim the lights. Let the soft hum of distant artillery lull you. Because this isn't glory. It's fatigue in a helmet and frostbite under your fingernails. You're not in a war movie. You're in the war. And it's about to start. Congratulations. You're awake. Barely. You don't remember falling asleep, but you're no stranger to that. Sleep here isn't sleep. It's passing out in a damp corner of a concrete bunker that smells like mildew, gun oil, and a vague regret of sausages eaten too fast 3 days ago. The sound that wakes you isn't gentle. It's not birds chirping or a bugle like in the movies. It's your stomach growling and the faint, unmistakable grind of boots on gravel just outside. Could be a rat, could be a sergeant, could be both. You blink a few times. Your eyes are sticky, not because you were crying. You ran out of the energy for that a month ago, but because the air inside this bunker is wet. Not rainy wet, not foggy wet. Just wet like the walls are trying to inhale you. You shift slightly, and the stiffness hits. Your back is a solid board of aches. Your legs feel like someone else's. Someone who died last winter and never got around to stretching. Your boots are still on. Of course they are. Because you sleep with them on. You have to. A rat scurries past. At this point you recognise it. You've named it. Maybe Fritz, maybe Otto. Doesn't matter. You've accepted that it's part of your unit now. You're not sure if it outranks you, but it definitely eats better. You take a breath. That was a mistake. The air is heavy. Not just with dampness, but with anticipation. You've felt it before. Usually before inspections. Sometimes before skirmishes. But this is different. This air has weight. You shift again, this time to sit up, and your helmet clunks against the low concrete ceiling. Not hard enough to concuss you, unfortunately, but enough to make your ears ring for a second. You duck instinctively, even though you already know exactly how low the ceiling is. You've been in this hole for weeks, maybe months. You lost count. You're stationed along the Atlantic Wall. Sounds impressive. Like a fortress of strategy and strength. What it actually is, at least your little piece of it, is a squat, damp bunker shoved into a Normandy hillside with a rusted periscope, a jam-prone machine gun, and exactly one working radio that only picks up static or shouting. The view, if you squint past the slits in the concrete, is a foggy slice of beach and sea. You're supposed to watch it. You do. A lot. Nothing ever happens. Until now. You look at your watch. You don't know why. It's not like time means anything anymore. But it's a ritual. OM5. 7. That's too early for anything good. You reach for your rifle. It's cold. Heavier than you remember. The metal bites into your palm because you forgot to wear gloves to bed again. You slide the bolt, check the chamber. Nothing's jammed yet. Small victories. You hear a cough from the corner. One of the new guys, barely 18, from somewhere east, doesn't talk much. You think his name is Emil, or maybe he just looks like an Emil. He's been having nightmares, wakes up screaming sometimes. No one tells him to stop. You all understand. Another noise, not inside, outside. Dull thuds, not gunfire. Not exactly. It's distant, like the sky clearing its throat. Your sergeant enters, no knocking, just a muttered curse and the scrape of boots. He looks worse than usual, which is saying something. Face like sandpaper, eyes red from either lack of sleep or too much staring. He doesn't say anything for a second, just nods toward the slit. You go to it. What you see doesn't register at first. Horizon, sea, usual, then something odd. Little shapes, dots, moving, fast. Your brain does the math, slowly. Boats, too many. They look like toys from here, but they're not. They're ships, dozens, maybe hundreds. You can't count, you don't want to. Someone behind you whispers, "Ist das die Invasion?" No one answers, because it is. You don't need an order to know it. It's June 6th. You've heard rumours. Everyone has. But rumours are safe. Rumours don't crawl out of the ocean like metal insects. You feel it in your gut first. That drop. The moment when adrenaline hits but has nowhere to go yet. Your fingers grip your rifle tighter. You weren't supposed to feel this today. You were supposed to eat more mouldy bread, take a meaningless patrol, maybe argue over a game of cards scrawled on cardboard. Not this. The sergeant finally speaks. They're here. That's it. No speech, no dramatic moment. Just cold confirmation. Like telling you the soup's gone bad. The radio crackles to life. Screaming. Not panic. Not yet. Just orders layered over orders, sections reporting sightings, shore batteries prepping, everyone shouting, but no one saying anything helpful. You step outside, the air hits different. Cold, wet, but electric. The kind of air that makes your teeth ache. You glance up, the sky's getting lighter, but it's still that early morning grey that doesn't belong to any specific hour. You look out over the coastline. Movement everywhere now. Shapes on the water getting clearer. You hear the first real artillery blast. Not from your side, from theirs. The ships are firing. Then the ground shakes. Just slightly. Enough that you feel it in your knees. Then another shake, closer. The bunker's artillery opens up. The sound is deafening. Not cinematic. Just overwhelming. Like someone smashing pots and pans inside your skull while dragging nails down a chalkboard. You duck instinctively. Not because you're being shot yet, but because you know what comes next. Return fire. A boom hits farther down the beach. You see a plume of sand and smoke. Someone's section just got hit. You run back into the bunker. Not out of fear, though it's definitely there, but because that's what you're supposed to do. You man your post. Machine gun nest. Nest is a generous word. It's a corner with a mounted MG42 and a partial sandbag wall. You slide into position. Emil's behind you, feeding the belt. His hands are shaking. Yours are too. You both pretend they're not. Through the scope, you see them. Boats now fully visible. Ramps lowering. Small figures pouring out. Infantry. So many. You wait for the signal. It comes in the form of tracer fire arcing across the sand. You press the trigger. The sound is indescribable. It drowns everything. The gun kicks like it's trying to escape your grip. Brass shells fly. The barrel heats instantly. You don't think. You don't aim. You just fire. Emil keeps the belt moving. Your ears are ringing. Your shoulder aches. You see men fall, but they keep coming. They're getting closer. Mortars hit nearby. The ground vibrates. Dust clouds fill the bunker entrance. You cough. Someone's yelling. You don't hear what they said. You keep firing. Then the gun jams. Your heart skips. You've trained for this. You clear the jam. Sweat pours down your face, even though it's freezing. You reload. Fire again. The beach is chaos now. Smoke. Blood. Screaming. Your hands are blistered from the heat of the weapon. You don't care. More shapes are approaching. Tanks. From the sea. Crawling up like mechanical demons. You don't have enough firepower for that. You're not even sure your bullets scratch them. The sergeant appears, yelling something. You catch the words fall back. But to where? The bunker? The trench line behind? It's all exposed. You hesitate. That's dangerous. Hesitation gets you killed. But you run. You and Emil. You dive into a new position, behind a chunk of blown-up concrete. You can't see the ocean anymore. Just smoke and movement. You hear a scream. Not close, but human. High-pitched. Then another. Then silence. You reload again. Your fingers feel numb. Blood on your glove. You don't know whose. Doesn't matter. You peek up. The Americans are getting closer. You can see their faces now. They're kids. So are you. That doesn't help. You raise your rifle, aim, fire. You're not sure if you hit anything. A shell lands behind you. The shockwave knocks you forward. Your ears go completely silent for a moment. Not ringing, just nothing. You blink. Dust everywhere. Emil is gone, not dead, just not there. Maybe ran, maybe hit. You can't tell. You crawl, your leg is bleeding. You don't know when that started. You reach the next position. Another soldier. Older guy. Smoking. He offers you a drag. You shake your head. He shrugs. You both stare at the beach. It's still happening. And it's far from over. You don't remember how you got back inside. Maybe you walked. Maybe someone dragged you. Maybe you died, and this is just hell with better acoustics. Either way, you're here, back in the bunker. Same air, same smell. Slightly louder explosions. The walls vibrate every few seconds now, like they're holding in a breath they can't afford to let go. You sit down on the floor because that's the only option left. There's no chair. There was a stool once. It broke. No one replaced it. You lean back against the concrete wall and instantly regret it. It's cold. Always is. Not refreshing cold. Not like an open fridge. It's the kind of cold that seeps through your uniform, into your skin, into your bones, and then just stays there like it paid rent. Your helmet is still on. You know you should take it off. You also know you won't. It's become part of your head now. A slightly too tight shell that occasionally catches on door frames and makes you flinch at loud noises, which is every single noise today. Someone hands you a canteen. You don't ask who. You drink. It's lukewarm and metallic, but it's water, or something pretending to be. You try not to care what's floating in it. You hand it back without speaking. That's just how things work here. Words are expensive, and everyone's broke. You look around the room. Half your squad is gone. Some left to reinforce another sector. Some left without planning to. Some are lying in the corner, not moving. Not dead. Not yet. But definitely running out of reasons to keep pretending this is survivable. The bunkers were supposed to be secure. That's what the engineers said. Thick walls, reinforced ceilings, interlocking fields of fire. That all sounded impressive on paper. Then the naval shells started landing. Turns out paper doesn't stop shrapnel, and neither does concrete if you hit it hard enough. Your bed, if you want to call it that, is a plank. A narrow stained piece of wood suspended between two brackets on the wall, wrapped in a blanket that feels like it was soaked in old bacon grease and dried over a campfire fueled by despair. You lie down on it sometimes. You don't sleep. You just rotate your spine until something pops, stare at the ceiling, and wait for the next tremor. Right now, you're not lying down. You're crouched beside it, cleaning your rifle again for the third time in an hour. It doesn't need cleaning. You just need something to do with your hands besides wring them. You rub the same spot over and over until the oil stains your fingers dark. The cloth you're using used to be white. You don't remember when. Someone sneezes. Loud. It echoes off the concrete like a gunshot. Half the room jumps. The other half doesn't react at all. Your nerves are shot. That phrase used to be metaphorical. Now it just feels accurate. You check your pockets. One cigarette left. You don't smoke. You just like knowing it's there. A luxury or a bribe, depending on how the day goes. You lean back again. This time your head thuds softly against the wall. You close your eyes. Not to sleep, just to rest them. That's the line you tell yourself. You haven't really slept in days. Maybe longer. Even when it's quiet, which is rare, your brain won't let you. It replays things. Faces. Screams. The sound a human body makes when it hits wet sand at terminal speed. You'd rather hear shells than remember that. The room is dim. There's a single electric bulb hanging from the ceiling, swinging slightly from the last shockwave. It flickers now and then, like it's considering quitting. You get it. So are you. The floor is coated in a fine layer of sand, mud, and what's probably blood. But you've stopped identifying things. You track it in from outside. From the beach. From the trenches. From whatever part of your uniform got torn open by that last blast. You can't tell any more what's yours and what's not. The voices around you are low, muted. German, French, Czech, Polish. Your unit is a mix of men from everywhere the war has touched. No one cares anymore who came from where. You're all just noise trapped inside the same shaking box. Some of the guys talk about home. Not wistfully. Just to remember it exists. Bread that doesn't taste like cardboard. Beds with sheets. Doors that lock from the inside. One guy keeps mentioning his dog. You've heard the story 100 times. It gets shorter each time he tells it. You shift positions again. Everything creaks. Your knees are angry. Your back is filing formal complaints. You're only 23, but your joints think they've been retired for decades. You hear the scuff of boots outside. You raise your rifle out of habit. Just enough to be ready. Then you lower it. It's just the runner. Another kid. Out of breath, soaked to the knees, eyes wide like he just saw a ghost wearing a captain's uniform. He has a message. No one wants to take it. The sergeant steps forward and grabs it, reads it, doesn't react. Just mutters, "Scheisse," and tells everyone to get ready. That's all he says. Get ready, like you weren't already ready. Like you haven't been ready since this morning. Since the first shell. Since the first shape on the water turned into a human being with a gun. You check your ammo. Still half a clip. You reload anyway. The sound of the bolt slamming forward echoes. You've stopped worrying about the noise. The whole world is noise now. A guy across from you is rocking slightly. Not on purpose. Just the way his body is processing things. His mouth is moving, but nothing's coming out. You realise he's praying. Not loudly. Not for show. just quietly, like he's whispering to someone who stopped listening months ago. The bulb flickers again, goes out, comes back. It's not the light you miss when it's gone. It's the illusion of normalcy it provides. Without it, everything feels more like a tomb. Someone opens a ration tin. The smell hits immediately, something between old meat and rust. Nobody says anything. You all pretend you don't notice. He eats it anyway, because food is food, and disgust is a luxury. You stretch your legs. One foot cramps. You wince. Your body is done cooperating. It's become a reluctant passenger on this slow-moving disaster. You move it anyway. Another rumble shakes the floor. Closer this time. You don't flinch. You just watch some dirt fall from the ceiling and hope it wasn't structural. There's a map on the wall. It's torn, smudged, and wildly outdated. Lines drawn in pencil. Arrows, positions. It looks like a child's drawing of confusion. You stare at it sometimes, not because it helps, but because it gives your eyes somewhere to go. The sergeant finally speaks again. A short briefing. More Americans have landed. They're pushing inland. You might be moved, or not. No one knows. Higher command is vague. Radios are worse. Everyone's shouting over each other, and no one's listening. War's like that. Too much information in all the wrong places. You don't react. You just start packing. What little there is. Your gear is already on you. You just adjust it. Check the straps. Make sure nothing's loose. You've done this enough times that your hands work on autopilot. Your brain is still back on the beach. The guy next to you suddenly starts laughing. Not loud. Not crazy. Just that dry, empty laugh of someone who realised something stupid and can't unrealise it. You don't ask. You don't want to know. You just let him have it. Someone else starts humming. A song from the radio, from before. It's off-key. You don't correct him. It's not about music. It's about memory. And you stand, slowly. Everything pops. You stretch. Not because it helps, but because it's something to do. The air feels heavier now, like the bunker's closing in, like it knows it's not strong enough to keep you safe much longer. You hear footsteps overhead. Probably yours. Maybe not. The doubt settles in immediately. Everyone looks up. The sergeant motions for silence. You wait, tense. The sound fades. Could have been anything. Or nothing. You sit again, rifle across your knees, helmet strapped loose, breathing shallow, the rhythm of a man trying to find a moment of peace in a place that doesn't allow it. You scratch your neck, something bites you. Could be a flea, could be paranoia. Doesn't matter. You're used to both. A drip starts in the corner. Water probably. You hope it's water. You stare at it, let the rhythm hypnotise you. One drop, then another, then nothing. You blink slowly, just long enough for your vision to blur. Not sleep, not even close. Just pretending. Just a short rehearsal for the next blackout. You stay that way, leaning against the wall, surrounded by smoke, sweat, and the kind of silence that only exists between explosions. You're not safe. You're not rested. You're just inside for now. And outside it's still happening. It's morning, not because the sun is rising. The bunker doesn't really care about natural light. But because someone says the word breakfast like it's a threat. No one moves. At first, it's just a murmur. Then you hear the rustle of gear, the scrape of boots, and the sound of a tin mess kit being opened too loud. You pull yourself up, not quickly, there's no rush. Whatever's about to be served can't be worse than the rest of your day, but it also definitely won't be better. You step outside, just a few meters, just enough to breathe something that isn't recycled body heat and cordite dust. The air's damp again. Not wet enough to be rain, just enough to make your collar stick to your neck and your socks feel like old meat. The beach is still out there. So are the Americans. Gunfire, distant but steady. Not thunderous now, just constant. Background noise. The kind of thing your brain eventually stops noticing unless it gets too close. You find your spot, same as always. Cracked bench, half a crate, a piece of wall that hasn't crumbled yet. Doesn't matter. No one's sitting for comfort. Just to take the weight off knees that are tired of pretending they still work. Someone's handing out rations. It's not much. Wasn't much yesterday. Won't be tomorrow. A tin of something you can't identify. A piece of dark bread that might have been baked this week or last winter. And a smear of what used to be butter, but now looks more like congealed grease scraped from the bottom of a tank engine. You take it without looking. You stopped reading labels weeks ago. They don't help. Most of them lie. Meat paste is a particularly creative one. You once opened it and found something with fur still attached. You ate it anyway. That's just how it works. You cracked the tin open. The smell hits immediately. Like metal and wet dog. You try not to breathe through your nose. You've gotten better at that. It's one of the few skills war teaches well. The bread is harder than you remember. You try to tear a piece. It flakes in one place, refuses in another. Eventually you just bite into it. It hurts. You chew anyway, slowly. It tastes like damp cardboard and bitter salt. The salt is the best part. Someone's laughing. Not happy laughter, just the kind that happens when someone points out that the Americans probably have eggs and coffee right now. You don't want to think about it, but now you are. Toast. Real butter. Coffee hot enough to burn your tongue. Even the pain would feel luxurious. You take another bite of your whatever it is, it sticks to your teeth. You wish you hadn't brushed them with sand last night. It scratched the enamel right off. Now every bite tastes like gravel and regret. A guy nearby pulls out a boiled potato. Where he got it, no one knows. You consider stealing it for half a second. Then you remember your legs still hurt from crawling through shell holes yesterday and decide it's not worth the effort. You just glare and keep chewing. Then the sound changes. Low at first, a rumble, then louder, deeper. Not artillery, not yet. You look up. The sky's crowded. Bombers. You stop mid-bite. Everyone does. The chewing stops. The chatter stops. Even the guy with the smug potato freezes. You can count the engines. There's too many. They're high up. Black specks crawling across the sky. Like flies. Big ones. American ones. Maybe British. You can't tell from here. Doesn't matter. They're all bad news. You hear a whistle. Not from a man. From above. It's the kind of sound that starts in your chest before your ears even pick it up. It rises fast. Your body tenses. Reflex. Instinct. Useless. The impact is close. Not direct. Not bunker shattering. Just enough to make the ground heave like it's reconsidering supporting you. Dust everywhere. Sand kicked up. You blink and it's in your eyes. You taste grit. You don't remember opening your mouth. You duck, not gracefully. You just sort of fall sideways until your back hits the ground, and your food spills into the dirt. You stare at it for a moment. You're more sad than angry. That was still calories. Another bomb hits, farther away. You hear yelling. Someone screaming orders. Someone else screaming in general. You scramble back toward the bunker. Your boots catch on the uneven ground. You trip on a discarded helmet. Not yours. You don't stop to check who it belonged to. Inside again, the ceiling trembles. A new crack forms near the corner. The bulb flickers and dies. You don't care. You sit against the wall, dirt in your mouth, your meal lost to the outside, your hands shaking just enough to make you notice them. Someone throws you a replacement ration. Not out of kindness, just protocol. You nod. You open it. This one's worse than the last. The smell is sharper, tangy, sour. You eat it anyway, because your stomach doesn't know how to protest anymore. Because food is fuel, and fuel is the only thing between you and passing out when the next order comes. You chew slowly, the flavour getting worse with each bite. You wish it was over, but you also wish you had more. Hunger is like that. It makes you want things you can't stand. Another boom shakes the wall. This one feels closer. You hear shouting in the corridor. One of the machine guns up top is firing again. You recognise the pattern. Short bursts, trained, focused. Someone's yelling about advancing troops. You check your pockets for whatever's left. Half a chocolate bar from a Red Cross parcel you stole 2 weeks ago. You save it. That's not food. That's hope. You need that later. The lights come back. Dim. Flickering. You eat the last of the bread. It's gone stale in your hand. Somehow harder than before. You don't bother washing it down. The canteen's empty. Again. You stand. Slow. Your knees protest. Your back stiffens. The bunker feels smaller now. Tighter. Like it's noticing you again. Like it's not impressed you're still alive. You sling your rifle. Wipe your hands on your pants. There's no clean spot left. They just get dirtier. The sergeant steps in. New orders. A new post. More exposure. Less cover. But maybe a better angle. Maybe. Probably not. You nod. You move. No one says anything. Outside, the bombers are turning back, for now. You walk past the burnt-out crate you used as a table, past the remains of the breakfast you didn't finish. The tin is upside down, leaking something that might have once been edible. You don't look at it again, because there's more to come, and none of it will be better. You don't change clothes. That would imply you have clothes to change into. What you do have is what's on your back and what's soaked through your undershirt. Your uniform is regulation, which is a nice way of saying someone somewhere designed it with optimism and ignorance. It's wool. Always wool, the kind that scratches even when you're standing still and digs into your skin the moment you move. You pull the collar up because the wind is back, slicing through the gaps in the bunker like a knife made of ice and spite. But the collar's stiff. Damp again? It never really dries. It just shifts between wet, damp, and is this mildew or a war crime? Your undershirt is supposed to be breathable. It isn't. It's just another sponge, collecting the sweat you've been generating since sunrise. Not because you're running or panicking, not yet, but because your body knows the pressure is coming, and it's trying to flush itself out before you start leaking other fluids. You adjust your belt, the leather's cracked, it pinches at the sides. The metal buckle is colder than the concrete and always digs into your gut when you crouch, which is often. You stop noticing after a while, then it starts cutting again. That's the rhythm. Discomfort followed by numbness, followed by fresh discomfort in a slightly different shape. Your trousers are stiff, not because they're pressed. No one's seen an iron since Poland, but because they're stained with everything from trench mud to someone else's blood. You're not sure which stain came from what. You've stopped keeping track. There's one near the knee that smells faintly sweet when it gets wet. You don't think about that anymore. Your jacket's missing a button. It popped off during a dive into a crater last week and rolled somewhere you couldn't follow. Now it flaps slightly when you move, catching the breeze like a sad little flag of defeat. You tried to fix it with twine. It held for 2 days. Then the twine gave up, just like the rest of you. You're wearing the same socks you were issued at the beginning of May. It's now June. They're less sock and more compressed filth, shaped vaguely like foot coverings. You tried drying them once by the fire. They smelled so bad a guy puked. Now you just keep them on. They've moulded themselves to your skin. You think there's fungus involved. You also think it doesn't matter. Your boots. Oh, your boots. They're technically leather. Technically. Whatever treatment they had wore off somewhere between the last rainstorm and the river crossing. They're cracked at the seams and let in just enough water to remind you that dry feet are a fairy tale. You packed extra laces once. You traded them for soap. You haven't seen soap since. There's mud on your soles, not just dirt, mud that stinks of everything the earth is trying to forget. You stepped in something back near the trench line that may have once been a person. You didn't stop to confirm. You couldn't. Now it's part of your tread pattern. Your gloves are fingerless now, not by design. The stitching gave out during a long day in the snow, and you never found a replacement. You wrap cloth around your palms when you're firing, but it slips. You have burns on your knuckles. You say they're from the gun barrel. You hope they're from the gun barrel. Your helmet is standard issue, lined with something that used to be padding, and now feels like shredded paper and old sweat. It rattles slightly when you run, and the strap digs into your jaw at an angle that always leaves a red mark. You've adjusted it 100 times. It never helps. On the side of the helmet, there's a dent. It wasn't there a week ago. You don't know how it got there. You woke up from a blast, and it was just part of your gear now. You tap it sometimes. It doesn't echo. That's probably good. Your gas mask is slung over your chest. It doesn't work. You know it doesn't work because you've tested it. Twice. Once by mistake. The filter's dead. You keep it because you're supposed to. And because it makes you look more prepared than you are. Which is not at all. You have a pouch with extra ammunition. It's digging into your ribs. One of the clips is jammed and needs oil, which you don't have. You tried using cooking grease once. It worked until the next dust storm glued it shut again. You keep it anyway. Weight makes it feel like you're carrying purpose. Your bayonet is dull. You sharpened it 2 weeks ago with a rock and gave up halfway through. It's still on your belt. More of a decoration now. No one wants to use one. Up close is personal, and personal is dangerous. There's a photo in your inner pocket. Bent, smudged, water damaged. A face you recognise but haven't seen in motion for months. You don't look at it much anymore, not because you don't care, but because you do. Too much, too often. So it stays folded, hidden behind a field manual you never read. You shift your shoulders. The jacket tugs at your elbows. You try stretching. Everything cracks. Someone across the bunker flinches at the noise. You offer a shrug. He nods. Everyone's broken in their own ways. Some creak louder than others. Someone near the wall is sewing. Not because they like it, he used to be a tailor, but because his sleeve caught on rebar and tore open like a tin of fish. He's using black thread on grey wool. It doesn't match. No one cares. Function beats form out here. Another guy is polishing his boots, not for inspection, just to keep his hands moving. He says it helps. You think he just misses the routine, back when clean boots meant something. Now they just shine until the next explosion buries them again. You adjust your gear, the straps dig into your shoulders. One buckle is bent and clicks weird when you walk. You stopped fixing it. It's part of you now. You consider taking off the jacket, just for a second. But then you remember the breeze, the cold steel, the sharpness of wind when it cuts through open fabric. You leave it on. Sweat is better than freezing. Your canteen hangs low on your hip. It leaks, not fast, just enough to stain your leg every few hours. It smells like rust and old broth. You should clean it. You won't. You run your hand down your sleeve. You find something sticky. You don't know what it is. You wipe it on the floor. It joins a collection of fluids nobody's identified. You catch a glimpse of yourself in a broken shard of mirror, someone wedged near the door. Just a piece of reflective metal. You stare for a second. Your eyes look sunken. Your face is smudged, pale, older than it should be. You smile, just to see if you still can. You regret it immediately. Your lips are cracked, and the smile doesn't reach anywhere useful. You step outside, not far. Just enough to feel the weight of your uniform settle under open sky. It doesn't breathe. It doesn't stretch. It doesn't help. But it's what you wear. There's no pride in it, no ceremony. It's just cloth and weight and skin and stains. It smells like fire and fear. You wear it because it's yours. Because you don't have a choice. And somewhere out there, someone else is wearing the same thing. Same scratchy collar. Same stained boots. Same aching joints. Maybe he's pointing a rifle at you right now. You hope his boots hurt worse. You notice it before you see anything. The smell. It's the first warning. Not a loud one. Not dramatic. Just there, sitting in the air like an unwelcome guest that no one's going to ask to leave. You step outside and it hit you all at once. A cocktail of everything that's wrong with this coastline. Salt, diesel, cordite, mould, wet wool, gunpowder, piss. That last one could be yours. Or the guy next to you. Or maybe the guy who died behind the rocks yesterday afternoon. You're not in the business of identifying sources anymore. It's all just smell. There's always salt in the air. You're near the water. It never lets you forget. But this isn't the clean salt smell of vacations and postcards. This is the kind of salt that dries in your nose and makes your lips peel. It burns slightly, like the ocean is trying to dissolve you slowly, one breath at a time. Diesel's thicker, oily. It sticks. It comes from the trucks, the half-track engines, the tanks you barely have enough fuel to move. It seeps into everything. Your gloves, your pack, the lining of your helmet. Even your food tastes faintly like exhaust if you eat it too close to the vehicles. There's the smell of smoke too, fresh and old. Black smoke from a burning tank somewhere down the line. White smoke from flares. Grey smoke from something that used to be wood, or paper, or flesh. You stopped asking. Gunpowder lingers, not from your rifle, from everything else. The kind that hangs in the air after a shell lands too close and leaves your ears buzzing. You associate it with ringing now, like a perfume for trauma. You catch something rotting, not overpowering, not yet, just enough to cut through the rest. Maybe it's a dead animal. Maybe it's a human body no one's had time to move. Maybe it's the food crate someone forgot to bury last week. The breeze shifts and it disappears, for now. Someone walks past you and the air trails behind him. He smells like wet socks, old onions, and whatever's growing under his collar. You realise you probably smell worse. You stopped noticing your own scent 3 days ago. Or maybe longer. You used to care. Now you just try to stay downwind from yourself. Your own uniform adds to the cocktail. Sweat soaked deep into every fibre. That wool and skin mix that hits the back of your throat every time you pull your jacket tighter. It's not a strong smell. It's just constant. Like guilt. Or background noise. You scratch your arm and get a whiff of something sharp. Infection, maybe. You don't remember getting cut, but there's a patch of skin on your forearm that's red and flaky and smells faintly like sour bread. You cover it up and pretend it doesn't exist. That's the medical plan now. There's food in the air, technically, if you can call it that. Someone is reheating last night's rations over a tiny flame in the wind shelter. It smells like boiled paper and mystery grease. You recognise the scent because you ate it earlier and it's still trying to escape your stomach. You swallow hard and move on. The latrine is nearby. Too nearby. There's a breeze blowing from that direction today, which means you're getting regular updates on how everyone's digestion is doing under stress. Not well. You breathe through your mouth for a while. Then realise that's worse. You get a sudden burst of something chemical. Oil, paint, whatever they use to treat the canvas on the supply tents. It stings your nostrils and reminds you of the motor pool, which reminds you of the guy who lost his foot trying to fix a stuck tread without shutting down the engine. That smell stayed on his boot until they burned it. Someone lit a cigarette. You hear the match strike before you smell it. Then it creeps in, tobacco and burned paper. Familiar, almost comforting. You used to smoke. You still would if you hadn't run out. Now you just stand close enough to catch second-hand drags and pretend your lungs are getting something other than fog and tension. Another explosion, farther down the beach. The wind carries the aftertaste. Burnt metal. Char. The stink of something turning into something else. You've learned to distinguish the difference between impact smoke and aftermath smoke. This one's aftermath. You wipe your face. Your hand comes away smelling like iron. Blood. Dry, caked, but still sharp. You're not bleeding, at least not now. You hope it's yours. You try not to think about it too hard. You step away from the line for a second, behind a wall, just to breathe. That's a joke, of course. There's nothing clean left in the air. Just layers of decay stacked on anxiety. You think of home. Not the full picture, just one smell. Bread baking, real bread. That slightly sweet, warm, yeasty kind that made the whole block smell like comfort. That's gone now, replaced with powdered biscuit mix and the scent of dirt. You take a deep breath, regret it instantly. Something nearby is rotting faster now. You hear flies. You don't look. Looking confirms things. You've learned not to confirm. You find a cloth in your pocket. You wrap it around your face, pretending it helps. It doesn't. It just concentrates the sweat smell under your nose and gives you a headache. You leave it on anyway. Someone near the machine gun nest vomits, quietly, into the dirt. No one says anything. You just move a few steps away and hope the breeze shifts again. A cloud of smoke rolls over the hill. Thick, choking. Not white, not black, just grey. Neutral death. You brace for it, eyes squinting, mouth closed. It passes. Your clothes smell worse now. Somehow, they always do. You wonder what the Americans are smelling right now. Probably gunpowder, sweat, smoke. Same as you. Different sides, same stink. You bet they're gagging too. Or maybe their noses shut down early. You envy that. Someone nearby is digging a trench. The overturned soil releases a new layer of rot. Not surface rot, deep rot. The kind that's been waiting underground since last war. You gag once, quietly, then move on. You lean against the side of the bunker and close your eyes. For half a second, just to reset. The air moves around you like it's trying to crawl inside your lungs and scratch its name on the walls. You've stopped noticing when you smell something new. Your brain just files it away under still here. It's not the worst part of this place. It's just the part that never lets you forget where you are. There's no official chore list, no clipboard, no rotating schedule on the wall like at boarding school. You find out what your job is when someone shouts it at you, loudly, usually before dawn, sometimes mid-sentence, sometimes with the wrong name. Today it's digging. Again, you grab your shovel. It's not yours exactly. It belonged to someone. Then it belonged to no one. Now it's whoever's closest when the order lands. It's got a split in the handle and a dent in the blade where it caught shrapnel instead of a thigh last week. You don't trust it. You use it anyway. The dirt here is soft on top, then packed underneath like cement mixed with bones. Digging it is like arguing with a brick wall while your spine files complaints to whatever remains of your will to function. But you dig anyway, because someone told you to, and because a trench doesn't build itself, even if everyone wishes it would. You're not digging for glory. You're digging so you don't die when the next shell decides to drop a little closer to your forehead, which could be in 5 minutes, could be right now. You try not to think about that too hard, while you scoop out another chunk of earth and feel your shoulder pop again. The guy next to you is grunting with every motion, like it makes the dirt lighter. It doesn't. But at least it reminds you he's still alive. He's got one glove and half a sleeve, and a cough that's been getting worse since last Tuesday. You stopped asking about it. Nobody wants to have that conversation. You toss another load of dirt behind you. It barely makes a dent in the hole. You've been at it for 10 minutes. It feels like 2 hours. Your hands are already blistering again. You had calluses once. They peeled off after the third rainstorm. Now it's just raw skin wrapped in stubbornness. The shelling hasn't stopped. It's just moved slightly to the west. You can still hear it. Dull thumps followed by sharper cracks. You count the time between impact and echo. It doesn't mean anything, but it gives your brain something to do while your muscles remind you they were never trained for this. Someone yells something from the top of the hill. You don't catch the words. Doesn't matter. No one stops digging. Not unless the whistle gets close enough to become personal. You feel the vibration through your boots and keep going. You've got about 2 feet of depth now. Not enough. A proper trench should be shoulder height. You're 5'10", maybe a little less now that gravity's had its say. That means at least another 2 feet. You try not to think about it. Just keep moving earth, one curse at a time. Your back is soaked. Not with water. With a combination of sweat, stress, and whatever your uniform absorbed during the night. It clings to you like a wet rag dipped in punishment. You adjust the collar again. It doesn't help. Nothing helps. You pause to rest for exactly 6 seconds. That's the amount of time between looking weak and getting yelled at. You use it to stretch your shoulders, shake out your hands, and briefly regret every decision that led you here. Another scoop. This one hits something. Not a rock. Not a root. Something metal. You freeze. Everyone does? That sound is unmistakable. You scrape the dirt away slowly, carefully. It's an old shell casing. Spent, crushed, probably buried during the last bombing. Still, you toss it aside like it's live, just in case. Digging resumes. The sun's climbing now, but you don't feel warmer, just more exposed. Every patch of sky looks like a sniper's daydream. You crouch instinctively, even though you know that won't matter if a plane spots you. A shovel is not cover. Neither is wishful thinking. You're supposed to be reinforcing this trench line. The higher-ups called it tactical repositioning. What it means is someone forgot to fortify this sector, and now it's your problem. No one will thank you. No one even remembers your name. But if the trench is deep enough, maybe you'll see tomorrow. That's the only reward worth digging for. The sergeant walks past, nods, says nothing. That's a compliment. He didn't insult your depth, your posture, or your pace. That means you're doing fine. Or he's too tired to care. Either way, you take the win. The guy on your left, the one with the cough, starts singing under his breath. Something slow. Maybe a lullaby. You don't know the words. You don't want to. But the melody sits low in your ears, almost comforting if it weren't competing with distant artillery and the slap of dirt hitting dirt. Your hands are numb now. That's good. It means they stopped complaining. Or they gave up. Either way, you keep going. Someone shouts, "Down!" and everyone hits the ground. No hesitation. You flatten yourself into the dirt, shovel and all. Your cheek presses into cold soil. You smell damp roots. You wait. The whistle passes overhead. Distant impact. Wrong sector. You get up, brushed off nothing, keep digging. This is your morning now. This is breakfast and exercise and prayer rolled into one repetitive motion. Shovel, dump, repeat. Occasionally flinch, always sweat, never complain. You reach a stone and try to move it. It won't budge. You kick it once, then dig around it. Like every problem, it's just something else to work around. There's no time for solutions out here, only endurance. Someone brings a fresh sandbag. You fill it, tie it, toss it to the side. That's one more that might stop a bullet. You don't believe it will, but belief isn't part of the equation anymore. Just physics and shovels and the quiet math of survival. You look down at your hands. They're covered in dirt, old blood, and something slick you don't recognise. You wipe them on your pants. Now your pants match your soul. Unwashed, stained. Holding together out of pure spite. The trench is deeper now, inches. You can stand in it, crouch a little, and feel like you might not die immediately. That's something. Not hope. Just slightly less despair. You sit for a moment. Let the weight of your gear press into your shoulders. The rifle digs into your back. You let it. That's part of the deal. Someone nearby is arguing with a pickaxe. It's losing. That's the most excitement you've heard in an hour. The sun is higher. The sweat's back. Your shirt clings again. You stopped feeling dry sometime around March. Moisture is just part of your uniform now. It's as permanent as the dirt under your nails. You hear another shell, closer. You flinch. You curse. You check your depth. Still too shallow. You dig again. Because no one's coming to save you, and the dirt won't move itself. There's a moment, sometime mid-morning, where you can't ignore it anymore. You've been holding it since last night, since before the bombs, before the trench work, before the guy next to you coughed up something that looked like regret. But now, it's not a suggestion. It's a demand. Your body has decided it's time to go, and that means you have to use the latrine. Calling it a latrine is generous. It's a pit. A shallow hole in the ground, surrounded by 3 broken boards and half a tarp that stopped providing privacy sometime around the second rainstorm. There's no door, no roof, no seat, just the open air, the judgment of your comrades, and the vague hope that no one walks past while you're mid-process. You tell someone you're stepping out, they nod without looking. It's understood. It's never discussed. The walk there is about 40 metres. That's long enough to think about your life choices, your digestive regrets, and the probability of getting shot while squatting. The path is slippery. Mud and footsteps and something else. You try not to look down too closely. Your boots squelch with every step. You don't want to know what they're absorbing. The smell hits before you get there. It's not just bad. It's layered. Sour, sweet, sharp, and earthy all at once. Like someone tried to ferment a compost bin inside a trench, and then forgot about it for a month. You gag slightly, quietly. You've learned how to do that without alerting anyone. Pride is a dead concept, but shame still lingers in the corners. You arrive, you pause, you look around like you're about to commit a crime. No one's watching. Or if they are, they're pretending not to. That's the unspoken rule. You pretend privacy exists, and so does everyone else. You step inside. The ground gives a little. Not ideal. The boards shift when you touch them, one falling over. You don't bother fixing it. You just crouch low, rifle slung to your back, trying to balance necessity with fear. There's no toilet paper. Of course not. There was a roll once, a glorious artifact from a supply crate weeks ago. It's gone now. Used, traded, stolen, maybe burned for warmth. You brought a scrap of newspaper. It's damp and unreadable. You use it anyway. The breeze picks up, cuts through your exposed parts like a razor wrapped in ice. You shiver. Not because of the cold exactly, but because being vulnerable out here is a special kind of terror. You're squatting in an open box, pants down, surrounded by war. You've never felt more like a target. A shell lands somewhere in the distance, not close, but loud enough to remind you that explosions don't check where you are before they land. You clench. Instinct. Your body pauses. You wait. Another distant boom. Then silence. You resume. There's movement nearby. A shadow passes. A boot crunches. You freeze. You listen. It's just someone walking past. You hear them mutter something about stew. Then they're gone. You breathe again. You finish. Slowly. Carefully. You wipe with what's left. It's not enough. It's never enough. You stand, readjust, and glance down at the pit. You wish you hadn't. The contents are exactly what you expected. Still, seeing them makes it real. There are flies. Of course there are. Dozens, maybe hundreds. They rise in a lazy cloud when you shift the air. You wave them off. They don't care. This is their kingdom now. You step away and pull up your pants. They stick to your legs. Damp. Dirty. You don't know if it's sweat or something worse. You stop caring. You tuck in your shirt, half-heartedly, and exit. Okay, you walk back faster than you walked there. Like if you move quickly enough, the experience won't follow you. But it always does. The smell clings, not physically, although sometimes that too, but in your brain. A phantom odour that stays just behind your nose for hours. When you return, no one says anything. You don't either. You sit on the edge of the trench and pretend nothing happened. Someone hands you a piece of hard bread. You take it. You chew slowly. You don't taste it. You're still smelling something else. Your stomach gurgles. A warning. You pray it's done for now. You're not ready to go back. Later, You'll hear someone complain that the latrine overflowed. Again, that it needs to be dug deeper. That someone needs to empty it. That someone won't be you. Probably. You remember the last guy who volunteered to fix it? He slipped. Fell in. Got out. Physically. Not mentally. He didn't talk for a week. When he did, it was only to ask if anyone had extra soap. No one did. Soap is rare. It's like currency. A bar of it once got traded for a pair of dry socks. You've used yours down to a sliver that lives in a sock wrapped in twine at the bottom of your pack. You haven't touched it in weeks. You're saving it. For what? You don't know. Sometimes, if the weather is right and you stand upwind from the latrine, you can almost pretend it doesn't exist. You convince yourself it's part of the scenery. Just another corner of the wall that everyone's ignoring on purpose. But you know better. Everyone uses it. Everyone dreads it. It's the only democracy out here. No rank, no privilege, no escape. Just you, a whole, and the growing realization that this is how civilization breaks. Not with a bang, but with shared silence and shared stench. And it'll be there again tomorrow. Waiting. You're digging again. Because of course you are. The trench wasn't enough. Now it's firing holes. Small, shallow depressions you're supposed to shoot from without becoming target practice. Holes just deep enough to convince yourself you're safe, while still being completely exposed from 3 out of 4 directions. The soil is harder here, less forgiving. You stab at it with a spade that's already bent at the edges. The wood handle splintered and wrapped in a strip of sock you sacrificed during the 3rd week of May. You don't remember doing it, but the wall is still there, tied in a knot you can't undo. Around you, others are doing the same. A quiet group of tired men stabbing at the ground like it owes them money. No one talks unless absolutely necessary. Someone coughs, someone spits, someone grunts. The rest is just the scrape of metal and the shuffle of boots shifting in loose dirt. You keep your rifle close, always within arm's reach. It sits next to you in the mud like a sullen dog, coated in grime, barrel scratched, bolt sticky. You clean it daily. It still resents you. You pause for a second to wipe your face. Your glove leaves more dirt than it removes. It doesn't matter. Your skin's already stained the colour of earth. You could blend in with the wall if you stood still long enough. Then you feel it in your chest. That sudden little itch. Not physical, not hunger, not fear. Just something your mind does when it's tired of thinking about shovels and bullets. You reach into your jacket pocket and pull out the letter. It's folded 4 times. The paper's soft now, like it's been washed and dried and folded 1,000 times. Maybe it has. You don't read it anymore. You've memorized it. You just hold it. Fingertips on the crease. Thumb against the corner where the ink's smudged from sweat or rain, or maybe one bad night when you didn't hold it tight enough. The handwriting's familiar, round, neat. From someone who thought this would be temporary. Someone who believed you'd be back by harvest, by Christmas, by spring. Someone who used the word soon like it meant something. You never wrote back. Not because you didn't want to, just because you didn't know what to say. Still alive doesn't make much of a letter. Still here, still filthy, still scared, still digging holes like a human mole with a gun strapped to its back. No one wants to read that. You unfold the letter anyway, just to see the ink, the loops in the G's, the way the sentences trail off near the bottom like they got tired halfway through. You smile, But it's not a happy smile. Just a reflex. A ghost of something that used to feel good. Someone glances over. You tuck the letter away, not out of shame, just instinct. This isn't a place for softness. It gets eaten alive out here. Back to digging. You find a rock, big one, flat and jagged. You consider leaving it, working around it. But then you remember the last time someone did that, and a bullet ricocheted off the edge and came back with questions. You dig it out. It fights you. Your wrist cracks. You curse under your breath. No one reacts. The sun shifts slightly. Enough to cast longer shadows. Enough to remind you that this hole you're making might be your last view of daylight if things go sideways in the next few hours. You try not to think about it. You fail. You adjust your helmet. It's sliding again. The strap's stretched. You tied it tighter with wire last week, but it keeps loosening. Your chin's red from the friction. You shift it anyway. You're used to discomfort. You'd miss it if it left. Someone down the line swears and throws their shovel. It hits the dirt with a dull thud. They sit hard on the edge of their hole, head in hands, breathing like the air is poisonous. You don't look too long. Everyone has their moment. You just hope yours doesn't happen today. You dig until the spade starts scraping something that feels like the other side of the earth. You check the depth. Knee-high. Not enough. You go deeper. The smell of the soil changes as you get lower. Less fresh. More old. Like it remembers things. Like it's trying to tell you how many other people dug here before you. You don't want to know. You reach into your pocket again, just to check that the letter's still there. It always is. But you check anyway, like maybe this time it will be gone, and take the responsibility of remembering with it. You sit back, wipe your hands on your pants. They're already ruined, no harm done. You glance toward the coast, still quiet, for now. You think about what you'd say in a new letter, if you wrote one. You imagine the first line. The weather's still terrible. That's true. It always is. Then maybe, we're holding the line. That's also true. Barely. Then what? You imagine describing the hole you're sitting in. The one you just spent 40 minutes carving out of the earth, like a grave you're not ready to lie in. You wonder how to make that sound casual. You give up. You hear someone nearby humming. Not a song you know. Just a slow, tuneless melody. It fades quickly, like everything else here. You close your eyes. Not to sleep, just to rest. The letter presses lightly against your chest inside your pocket. Still folded, still clean, still pretending there's something on the other end of this mess waiting for you to return. You open them again. The hole is deeper, but not done. You keep digging, because there's nothing else to do, because your shovel doesn't ask questions, because the letter doesn't answer them. It's quiet now. Not peace and tranquility quiet. Not the kind where you hear birds and feel the sun and think about how beautiful the world is. That kind of quiet died around sunrise, buried under the first wave of artillery. This is the other kind. The kind that hovers, that waits, that makes your skin itch even when nothing's touching you. It's boredom sharpened into a weapon and aimed directly at your mind. You're sitting in the dirt again. You've finished your firing hole. It's deep enough. For now, no one's shooting at you. Yet. That's supposed to be good news. But it doesn't feel like it. You're not resting. Not exactly. Just paused, like someone pressed the war's pause button and forgot to hit play again. You're leaning back against the trench wall, boots half buried in dust, helmet pushed low, to block the glare. Your rifle rests across your lap. You haven't moved in 10 minutes, maybe more. Time blurs here. The guy next to you is carving something into the stock of his weapon. Not art, just lines. One for each day? Each shift? Each friend he's lost? You don't ask, he won't answer. You know because you tried yesterday and got a shrug and a stare. There's nothing to do. And that's the problem. You've read the same field manual cover to cover 3 times. It hasn't changed. Still full of phrases like establish a perimeter and maintain readiness. You used 1 page to wipe your hands last week. It's an improvement. You pick up a stone and toss it gently at a helmet perched on a sandbag. It misses. You do it again. And again. After the 5th try, you stop. Not because you're bored with the game, but because you've remembered it's pointless. You glance down at your boots. The laces are crusted in dirt. 1 eyelet's torn. You try to retie it and get distracted halfway through. Your fingers stop moving. You stare into space. Someone nearby is scratching their arm. Hard, repeatedly. You hear the sound of nails against fabric, then skin. They don't stop. You try not to look. Lice again, probably. Or nerves. Same thing now. The wind picks up slightly. Carries a smell with it. Damp canvas. Oil. Maybe a hint of blood. You pretend it's nothing. You've gotten good at pretending things are nothing. You lean your head back and try to nap. Not sleep. Just the thing that comes before it. You close your eyes and immediately open them again. Bad idea. Too many thoughts waiting behind your eyelids. You listen instead. A distant shout. A hammer tapping. And the metallic click of someone cycling their bolt out of habit. None of it means anything. All of it could mean everything. You glance at your watch. It's ticking. That's the only proof you have that time is still moving. The hands creep forward. Slow, relentless. They don't care what's waiting. You try counting. First in seconds. Then in breaths. Then in something else. The number of times you've blinked, maybe. You lose track quickly. That's the goal. Someone starts telling a story. Something about home. A girl. A lake. It doesn't matter. You've heard versions of it before. You stop listening halfway through. The words fade into background noise. You press your hands together. Feel your palms stick. The sweat never stops. Even when you're still. Even when you're not afraid. Especially when you're not afraid. That's when your body thinks too much and starts to leak. You look up at the sky. It's blue. Or grey. Or maybe both. There's a cloud that looks like a boot. You stare at it for longer than necessary. Then it's gone. Your stomach growls. You're not hungry. Not really, just empty. You reach for a ration tin. Open it without thinking. The contents stare back at you like they're daring you to eat them. You take a bite, chew, swallow. Taste nothing. Keep chewing anyway. Another guy is pacing. Just 5 steps in one direction. 5 steps back. Like a caged animal or a nervous priest. He's muttering. You don't know what. You don't ask. You've seen what happens when pacing turns into screaming. Best to let it run its course. You scratch your leg and feel a scab flake off. You don't look. That's safer. If it bleeds, it'll stop eventually. If it doesn't, that's one less thing to worry about. You try to think of something good. Just one image, a place, a smell, something clean. You get as far as a kitchen, then it turns into the field hospital and you stop immediately. You stand, stretch, sit back down, regret both. Your knees are stiff. Your spine feels like a rusted gate. Your neck clicks when you turn it. These are just the background noises of survival now. You look at the letter again. Still there. still unread, still everything you don't want to deal with. You keep it in your pocket, like a lucky charm made of sadness. Someone near the command post is laughing, not a joke laugh. This is insane laugh. It carries across the trench like a dog's bark. Brief, hollow, no one joins in. The silence returns. You'd welcome a bomb right now, or a gunshot, or anything, just to remind you the world's still turning. But all you get is the tick of the watch and the sound of your own breath. This is the part no one talks about. The hours between the horror, the lull, the stillness that grinds your brain into powder. The moments where death isn't chasing you, but it's still there, loitering just outside your vision, waiting to be interesting again. You check your rifle. Again, the safety clicks. You already know it's loaded. You just need to touch it, to feel like you're doing something. You tap your helmet against the trench wall, softly, like a metronome for madness. And then you just sit, and you wait, because that's all there is. Because the quiet is a fuse, and nobody knows when it burns out. It doesn't start with a bang. It starts with a whistle. Faint. Far off. Like someone dropped a teacup out of a 10th story window, and you're hearing the descent before the crash. You look up, but you don't see anything. The sky's too big. Your eyes aren't fast enough. Doesn't matter. By the time you hear it, it's already here. That's how it works. Someone shouts the word before it lands. Incoming! Like it helps. It doesn't. You're already moving. Instinct. You don't wait for orders. You drop to the trench floor and press your body into the dirt like it owes you protection. Then the ground lifts. Not dramatically. Not like in the movies. It just rises half an inch under your ribs, and then settles with a grunt, like the earth's exhaling through broken teeth. You hear the impact a second later. Sharp, deep, something between a crack and a scream. Dirt rains down. Your helmet catches most of it. The rest fills your collar. You don't get up right away. You wait for the second one. There's always a second one. It comes 8 seconds later. Closer. This time you feel the pressure in your lungs. A tight punch without contact. Your ears go fuzzy. Your eyes blur. You blink hard and wipe your face with your sleeve. It leaves a smear of mud and something darker. Someone's yelling. Not words. Just a long, drawn-out sound. Panic has its own language. The next shell lands behind the trench. You feel it more than you hear it. A shockwave rolls through the dugout like a tide of invisible bricks. Someone falls. Someone else swears. A third guy throws up. You step over it. The sky is screaming now. Not just one shell, dozens, maybe more. They don't come in rhythm. They fall like rain with no logic, no warning. Close, far, too close. One hits a supply crate and it vanishes in a burst of dust and flying wood. Another punches a hole through the side of a trench wall like paper mache. You duck. Again, again. Your neck cramps. Your knees buckle. The dirt shakes with each impact. You can't tell if the noise is outside or inside your skull. Someone's running. Bad idea. You hear the blast. Then you don't hear anything. Just silence. Followed by the sound of someone else screaming the runner's name. No answer. You stay low. You check your weapon even though you're not firing. It gives your hand something to do while your brain unravels. You pat the pouch with your ammo. Still there. You check the side pocket for your spare magazine. Gone. Maybe you dropped it. Maybe it was never there. You smell smoke now. Not the campfire kind. The thick kind. The kind that smells like heated metal and burned hair. It coats the inside of your mouth when you breathe. You switch to breathing through your nose. Regret it immediately. A guy next to you is curled into a ball, rocking slightly. He's whispering something over and over. You lean closer. He's repeating his daughter's name. You look away. The next shell lands too close. You don't hear it. You just feel the heat and the pressure and the sudden silence as your ears give up. Everything goes underwater, muffled, like someone stuffed cotton and shame into your head. You blink and your vision goes white for a second. Dust, flash, shock. You taste blood. You're not sure if it's from your nose, your gums, or just general proximity to reality. You press yourself deeper into the trench. Your hands find wet soil, muddy, warm, not water. You don't ask. Someone is yelling at a radio. It's not working. It never works when you need it. You catch a few words. Push, flank, reinforce. None of them apply to you. You're just trying to stay low and stay alive. Another blast. A beam snaps above you. A section of trench wall caves. Two guys scramble out of the collapse, coughing and bleeding. One's missing his helmet. The other's missing something else. No one points it out. You duck again. You've stopped counting now. Counting implies there's an end. There isn't. You try to speak, just to check if you can. Nothing comes out. Your throat is dry. Not from dehydration. Just fear, raw and quiet. The guy with the radio finally gives up, tosses it aside. He slumps down next to you, breathing hard. He doesn't say anything. Neither do you. Above, the sky keeps screaming. It doesn't stop. It just changes tempo. More bursts. Different rhythm. You hear a new sound. Aircraft, not yours. The low drone of engines that don't belong here. You try to make out shapes. You can't. Smoke blurs everything. The air is thick and mean. You wipe your goggles. They smear worse. The next impact throws you sideways, not far. Just enough to remind you that physics still applies. You land hard on your shoulder. Something cracks. Not broken, just sore. You'll deal with it later. You crawl to the nearest corner and hunker. Someone joins you. You don't know him. He doesn't know you. Doesn't matter. You share the space like animals sheltering from a storm that's smarter than both of you. You wait some more. Eventually the shelling tapers, not all at once, like a drunk finally running out of insults. One last boom, then silence, then two more, then stillness. The quiet returns, but it's not relief. It's suspicion. You wait for the next whistle. You don't move. You can't. Your ears ring. You check your limbs. They're all there. You look around. Fewer people than before. The ground's different. Rearranged by force. You sit. Slowly. Carefully. You spit into the dirt. Red. Not fresh. You wipe your mouth and let your hand fall to your side. There's no cheering. No victory. No clapping each other on the back. Just breathing. Heavy. Shallow. Delayed. You wait again. Because the sky might start screaming any minute. Because this was just one round, and nobody thinks it was the last. You hear it before you see it. The sea, shifting. Not the usual crash of waves, or the wind dragging itself across wet sand. This is heavier, slower, mechanical. It sounds like industry mixed with intention. Like something big is coming, and it doesn't care who's in the way. You lift your head over the trench line. Slowly. Cautiously. There's no sniper fire yet, but that's no guarantee. The smoke has started to thin, pushed by the breeze rolling in from the water. And behind it, they appear. Boats? Small at first. Dark shapes dotting the horizon like misplaced punctuation. You blink, thinking it's your eyes playing tricks. They're not. And the dots get bigger. Fast, multiply. Form lines. Rows like teeth. They're not random. They're organised. Precise. Someone on the other side is very good at their job. You wish they weren't. You hear footsteps behind you. Other soldiers coming to look. Same silence on their faces. You all see the same thing. The ocean is full of metal. Steel grey shapes crawling over waves, rolling toward the beach like it owes them something. They're closer now. Low silhouettes. Square edges. Flat decks. Landing craft. The first wave. You feel it in your gut? A deep, hollow drop like your insides just realised what your eyes are seeing? This isn't a drill. This isn't a skirmish. This is the invasion. You duck back down. Someone's yelling numbers. Range, bearing, speed. You can't focus. You hear him, but your brain's somewhere else. Somewhere farther out, where those boats are filled with men staring back at the coast, wondering what they're about to walk into. Artillery starts again. Not theirs. Yours. The bunkers come to life like angry machines waking up from a bad nap. The ground shakes. The air snaps. A shell flies overhead and lands somewhere between the boats. Water explodes into the sky, like the ocean's trying to hit back. You peek again. One of the boats disappears behind a column of foam. You don't know if it was hit. Maybe. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. Dozens more just keep coming. You could fire until your hands gave out, and you wouldn't run out of targets. Then the machine guns start. High up on the bluffs. Short, rhythmic bursts. Controlled. Trained. You hear the distinctive clatter of the MG-42s kicking in one by one, each one chewing through belts of ammunition like it's trying to erase the horizon. Then they hit the beach, the ramps drop, and the sea gives birth to men. At first it's just shadows pouring out of steel mouths. Then they're real, solid. Helmets, rifles, packs. Splashing into waist-deep surf, stumbling forward, weapons held high, eyes wide, and mouths open in silent shouts you can't hear yet. They move in waves, not perfectly, not smoothly. Some fall, some vanish, but more keep coming. Like the tide, but louder. You take your position. Rifle up, scope adjusted, breathe, squeeze. The first shot cracks. It hits. You think. Doesn't matter. There are too many. You reload. Fire again. Muzzle flash. Recoil. The smell of gunpowder and hot metal fills your nose. You blink the smoke away. Sight. Fire. Again. Down the line, the bigger guns open up. Mortars. Explosions stagger across the beach like angry footsteps. Sand flies. Men drop. Water churns red, but the rest don't stop. They just step over the fallen and keep moving. You watch one of them run, then trip, then stand again. He's missing his helmet. His face is twisted into something between terror and rage. You don't shoot him. Not because you hesitate, just because someone else already did. Your magazine runs dry. You reload with hands that don't feel like yours. Your fingers are numb, slick with sweat and dirt. You slam the bolt forward. Fire again. The Americans, you're sure it's Americans now, start hitting the obstacles on the beach. Tank traps, mines, barbed wire. You see one go down in a flash of orange. The debris doesn't stop his friends. They duck, crawl, keep going. They're too close. You hear your sergeant shouting for someone to shift fire left. Someone does. You hear the bark of a heavy machine gun, stutter as it overheats, then silence. Someone screams. Not in English. You switch to your sidearm. You don't even remember pulling it. You fire it once, then drop it. The slide's jammed. You go back to your rifle. It's mud-covered. Still works. You take another shot. The recoil hits your shoulder like a punch from a frozen hammer. You breathe out. You feel something warm dripping down your arm. You look. Just a scratch? You think. The air is full now. Screams, orders, bullets, sand. You can't hear properly anymore. Your ears are full of static. You feel more than hear the concussions around you. You see someone break through the wire. He's 10 meters away, then 5. Then someone beside you takes him out with a burst. He falls wrong, limbs stiff, like he didn't get the message that it was over. Another boat lands, then another, then 2 more. The ocean keeps delivering them like a cruel joke. More men, more gear. Tanks now. You see one rolling up the ramp. You know what that means. You know what happens next. You start to fall back. Not retreat, just reposition. Strategic. That's what the manual says. But really, you're just backing up because the ocean won't stop bleeding men, and you're running out of room to stand. You trip on a rock and hit the sand hard. Your cheek grinds into the dirt. You spit. Blood. Or maybe sand. You push yourself up, shaking, legs rubbery. You find cover. Barely. You breathe. Shallow, fast. You reload again. You look up one more time. The sea is still full, and it hasn't even finished the first wave. There's no shape to it anymore. No line, no formation, no plan you can recognise. Just chaos layered on top of screaming, wrapped in gunfire, buried under sand that's now more red than brown. You're not even sure if the beach is still a beach. It doesn't behave like one. It absorbs bodies and noise like a trench, but offers none of the shelter. It kicks back every bullet with a spray of dust and refuses to stay still. The wind pushes smoke sideways and sand up into your eyes until blinking is pointless and vision is optional. You're still firing, you think. Your shoulder's gone numb from the recoil. You don't know how many rounds you've used. You don't know how many are left. You just shoot until the bolt locks back, and your hands, working from habit, slap in another mag without waiting for permission from your brain. The shouting's constant now. Some of it from your side, some from theirs, some wordless. Just panic, rage and pain colliding in midair. One man down the trench is yelling for a medic. Another is screaming at a jammed weapon. Another is just screaming. You peek up from behind the low rise and see the surf line. It's churning. Not from the tide. From motion. Human motion. Arms, legs, packs. Some crawling. Some limping. Some just floating. Face down, uniform dragging in the pull of the ocean like it doesn't want to let go. Closer to shore, it's worse. Mud, blood, bodies and bullets mix into a single moving surface. You spot an American trying to drag a wounded comrade across the sand by his collar. He stumbles, falls, gets up again. He doesn't make it 10 feet before both of them vanish in a blast that leaves nothing behind but shredded gear and a crater too small to matter. You duck again. Dirt slaps your face. Something sharp cuts your ear. You touch it. It's wet. Could be sweat. Could be blood. You wipe it. Doesn't matter. The bunker behind you fires again. The sound is too loud, too close. You feel it in your jaw, in your spine, like the structure itself is howling. You can't tell if the gunners inside are hitting anything or just making noise to feel less afraid. Either way, it keeps going. Your hands hurt. You realise you're gripping your rifle too hard. Your knuckles are white, your fingers stiff. One starting to bleed, where it's split open along the nail. You try to loosen your grip. You can't. You keep firing. The sand is everywhere, in your boots, in your eyes, in your mouth. It tastes like salt and carbon and rot. You spit it out, and it comes back. It always comes back. A body tumbles down into your position. Not one of yours. American, young, maybe 18, maybe younger. He's missing a boot. His eyes are wide open, his jaw slack. He lands face up in the dirt beside you like a forgotten doll. You don't look away. You can't. You meet his eyes and wait for a blink that never comes. Then you turn. Keep working. A grenade lands 6 feet away. You see it. Your body reacts. You lunge behind the nearest outcrop of rock, landing hard on your shoulder. The blast rips through the sand, spraying it like shrapnel. You feel a dozen tiny cuts across your arm. You don't check how deep. When you crawl back up, the guy who was next to you is gone. There's nothing left where he was but smoke and a piece of cloth fluttering on a jagged stick. You don't remember his name. You don't think he ever told you. Someone behind you is sobbing. You pretend not to hear it. There's no protocol for breakdowns. No manual page on emotional collapse. Just keep firing. Keep watching. Keep your head low. A tank pushes up the beach. American. Big, loud, covered in sandbags. Its tracks churn the wet shoreline into a paste of foam and bone. It stops. The turret turns. You run. You throw yourself into the next dugout. Heart pounding so loud it replaces the rest of the noise. You wait. The shot never comes. Maybe it's aiming at something bigger. Maybe it hasn't seen you. Maybe it's broken. You don't care. You move again. The sand is thicker now. Wet, sticky. Slows you down. Each step feels like a decision. Stay or run. Run or shoot. Shoot or breathe. More men coming up the beach. Too many. You can't tell if it's another wave or just the same one that refuses to die. They keep arriving, climbing over wreckage, over bodies, over each other. You fire again. No aim. Just into the mass. Into motion, into noise. Some drop. Some don't. Some just fall forward and vanish in the churn. The blood's in the air now. You can smell it. Not faintly. Not from a distance. It's thick. Like rust and meat. It coats your teeth when you open your mouth to shout. Someone grabs your shoulder. You turn with your rifle raised. It's the sergeant. Wild-eyed, yelling something. You don't hear it. Your ears are shot. You see his mouth move, then he points. Left flank. You nod. You move that way, low, fast, slipping once, landing hard. You crawl the last few feet. Set up. Fire again. Over and over. The barrel is hot. Too hot. You burn your hand. You keep going. There's no cover left. Just sandbags ripped apart and trench lines erased by mortars. You crouch behind a corpse. You don't think about who it was. It's just mass now. Shape. Shelter. You reload. Again. You can't feel your fingers. The shouting's all around you now. English. German. Screams in no language at all. The kind that comes from a place deeper than the throat. Someone throws a smoke grenade. The beach disappears in grey. You hold your breath. Can't see. Can't shoot. Just wait. Eyes burning. Ears ringing. Legs shaking. Then a bullet hits the sand an inch from your boot. You flinch. Move. Dive again. Roll into another hole. You're not even thinking anymore. Just acting. Like a wind-up toy full of violence and desperation. You stay there. Breathing hard. Listening. And the beach keeps moving. And the blood keeps spreading. And the shouting never stops. It's not quiet now. Not even close. You can't remember what quiet sounds like. You think maybe you used to enjoy it. Silence, stillness, moments between noise. Not anymore. Now silence feels like a setup. A fake out. A loaded pause before the next scream. Right now, though, there's no pause. There's just sound. All of it. At once. It doesn't come in layers. It comes like a flood, overflowing from every direction, pouring down into your ears whether you're ready or not. Gunfire, grenades, engines, yelling, the bass thump of distant artillery, and the high-pitched screech of something incoming. Always incoming. You're hearing shots, not medically, not yet, just worn down. Like everything else. You've taken too many concussions to the side of the head. Too many explosions, too close to pretend your ears are still on your side. The world sounds muffled now. Distant. except when it doesn't. Some sounds cut through no matter what. The crack of a rifle nearby. The slam of a body hitting the ground beside you. The scream of someone discovering what's left of their leg. You duck instinctively every time something hisses overhead. Doesn't matter if it lands. Doesn't matter if it misses. Your body flinches before you think. That's the system now. The flinch comes first. The thought comes second. The panic just loops in the background. The smoke is everywhere. Thick, grey, sometimes black, sometimes yellowish, from something that probably shouldn't be burning but is. It doesn't move like air should. It swirls and lingers and sticks. It wraps around you and presses into your mouth like a dirty rag, warm and sour. You taste it more than you breathe it. Visibility's down to nothing. You can't see 10 metres ahead. That's good, in theory. It means they can't see you either. But it also means your own men are shadows now. Silhouettes carrying rifles, moving like ghosts, yelling words that don't reach you. You crawl forward? Why? You don't know. Orders, instinct, doesn't matter. You move because staying still feels worse. The ground is uneven, full of craters and discarded equipment, and pieces of people no one has time to bury. You step over something soft. You don't look. The smoke thickens again. You pull your collar over your mouth. Pointless. Just gives you a mouthful of wool soaked in sweat and fear. You lower it and cough. Hard, you spit into the dirt. Black. Maybe soot. Maybe blood. You keep moving. You hear the buzz of aircraft. Low. Aggressive. Not the deep, slow drone from before. This is faster. Fighters. Strafing runs. You duck again, even though you're already low. Your helmet clinks against a piece of debris. Your ears ring even more. The scream of the engines rises. You can't tell which direction they're coming from. Doesn't matter. You press your body into the earth and wait. You feel the tremble in the dirt, the percussion, the impact. Close, then closer. Something explodes 50 metres away. You don't know what it was. You don't care. You just feel the wave push against your chest, like the ground just took a breath and decided it was your turn to hold it. You get up, half standing, half crouched. Your eyes sting. You wipe them and smear more grit into them. You blink rapidly and everything just smears. Shapes become shapes. Friends become threats. You pause, wait, let the smoke clear. It doesn't. The shouting is still happening. It's everywhere, in every language, in none. Someone is screaming for help. Someone is screaming in rage. Someone is just screaming to scream. You know that one? You've done it. You stumble into a body. Alive, barely. One of yours. Maybe. He's gasping. His mouth is moving. He says something. You can't hear it. You crouch. Lean in. He grabs your collar. Pulls you close. His lips are moving, but the sound is buried under the war. You just nod. He relaxes. Let's go. You move on. Every shot feels louder now. Even the ones far away. Like your hearing is broken, but selectively cruel. It lets in all the worst things and filters out anything useful. You hear the bang, but not the voice. You hear the scream, but not the warning. You hear the crash, but never the direction. You drop into a crater and gasp for breath. It's slightly clearer down here. The smoke is higher. The sound is muffled by the walls. You close your eyes for a second and hear your own heartbeat. Finally, it's too fast, out of rhythm. You press your hand to your chest. Still there, still beating. Stupid, stubborn muscle. You climb out again. Back into the noise. Someone grabs your arm, spins you around. A familiar face, mouth moving, shouting. You can't hear him. You shake your head. Point to your ear. He says it again. Slower. Doesn't help. You just nod. He lets go. You both go in opposite directions. Probably not what he wanted. A shell lands on the ridge ahead. You see the burst. You don't hear it. Just feel the pulse like thunder with the sound removed. You watch dirt fly and bodies scatter, and the world tilt sideways for a second. You look at your hands. They're shaking. Not from fear, exactly. Just exhaustion. From holding the rifle too tight. From pressing them over your ears too many times. From bracing for sounds that keep finding you anyway. You crouch behind what's left of a wall. Stone and sandbags. Useless. Still feels like cover. You close your eyes again, just for a breath. All you hear is a high-pitched tone. Constant. Ringing. Like a scream that never ends. You open your eyes. The smoke's back. The sound's back. You move forward anyway. Because you have to. Because it hasn't stopped. Because it never does. You're not sure who gave the order. Could have been the lieutenant. Could have been the sergeant. Could have been someone yelling from a radio no one trusts anymore. Doesn't matter. You heard it. Everyone did. Hold the line. It's easy to say, a sentence with no weight until you're the one expected to obey it. You're not holding a line. You're clinging to the ruins of one. The trenches are caved in. The bunkers are shredded. The beach is overrun. The line is just a suggestion now, smudged into the dirt by boot prints and blood. But you still obey, because that's the only thing left. Obedience. Reflex. Routine. You reposition. Not because you think it matters, because it's what you were trained to do. Slide left. Find cover. Aim low. Conserve ammo. Breathe. Someone passes you limping, rifle dragging behind him, left arm dangling. He's not heading for medical. He's just moving, away, somewhere. You don't stop him. You scan the ridge again. Smoke shifted. You can see more now, which means they can too. Shapes on the beach. American helmets, crawling, running, regrouping. Some are behind cover. Some aren't. Doesn't seem to matter. They just keep coming. You open fire, short bursts, controlled. You're not even thinking about targets anymore. Just suppression, disruption, delay. You hit one, maybe two. Doesn't slow anything down. Someone to your right asks if you're low on ammo. You don't answer. You are. He is too. Everyone is. You can feel it in the air. The awareness. Rounds disappearing faster than they should. Belts running dry. Magazines getting fumbled and reused and scraped together from corpses. Another order. Hold them at the wall. There is no wall. It was obliterated half an hour ago. What's left is rubble and a few stubborn rebar rods sticking out of the sand like broken fingers. Still, the order sticks. Someone repeats it, louder, like volume will rebuild concrete. You glance back. No reinforcements, no reserves, just more of you. Tired, scattered, bleeding, digging into the earth like it might shelter you if you show enough respect. Someone yells, "Flank right," and points. You don't move. You don't know if he's in charge. No one does. He could be a corporal or just the loudest one still standing. Still, a few guys shift right. Then one of them drops. A single shot. Clean. Silence for half a second, then more chaos. You stay in your position. You're not being brave. You're not holding ground. You're just stuck. The guy next to you tosses a grenade. Doesn't even shout a warning. He just lobs it low, underhand, over the trench lip. It goes off 3 seconds later. You don't know if it hit anyone. You never do. A mortar lands 20 metres away. The blast punches through a squad forming behind a mound. You see one guy fly backward like someone cut his strings. The others scatter. Some don't get up. One screams for a medic. Loud, repeated. No one moves. Another order filters through the static. Don't give an inch. You look around. Inches are all that's left. The position you're in was 20 metres forward at dawn. You've already lost everything behind you. But you nod anyway. You don't say it. You don't believe it. But you nod. Your rifle clicks. Empty. You reach for a new mag. Only 2 left. You slap one in. Hands shaking. Dirt everywhere. Your fingers don't grip like they used to. The trigger feels loose. You keep going. The radio's crackling again. The operator is shouting back into it, asking for clarification. He keeps repeating, "We're still here," over and over, like it matters to someone. Another blast. Closer. Sandbags rip open. Dirt fills your mouth. You spit and blink, and adjust your helmet for the 10th time today. The left flank collapses. You see it happen. A rush of movement, smoke, then nothing. One of the gunners throws his weapon and runs. Another follows, then a third, then the officer stationed there, gone. You hear more shouting, this time angry, desperate. "Get back! Get back!" Like yelling will plug the hole, it won't. You rotate toward the breach. Others do too. It's instinct. Fill the gap. Patch the hole. You fire blindly, hoping to slow whatever's coming through. You see flashes of movement. Shadows. More helmets. More Americans. The lines bending now. Not breaking. Not yet. But bending hard. Like a spine pushed too far, just before it snaps. You feel it in your chest. That sick pull of collapse, just waiting for a final shove. Someone near the command post is arguing. You catch fragments. Retreat? No. Orders? No choice. Then silence. You reload your last mag. Hold the line. The order comes again. Not shouted this time. Just said. Like a prayer. You stay. Because you have nowhere else to go. Because someone said to. Because part of you still thinks, maybe, if you just keep firing, if you just don't move, maybe the wave will break. It doesn't. Your last magazine is half empty now, or half full. Doesn't matter which. Either way, it's all you've got. You check your pouches like they've refilled themselves. They haven't. 2 are completely dry. One still has a clip that doesn't match your rifle, probably traded by mistake, or taken from a dead man who used something else. You toss it away without a sound. You don't have the energy to curse. You adjust your position again, trying to stay behind a crumbled edge of what used to be a sandbag wall. It leaks dirt every time you breathe on it too hard. You don't trust it, but you crouch lower anyway, making yourself smaller. Like that'll help. You don't fire now unless you're sure. And even then, you hesitate for that extra second. The old reflex, point, squeeze, eject, repeat, it's slowed down. Your trigger finger feels heavier than the rifle itself. You scan the beach again. The enemy's not charging anymore. They're moving tactically now. Coordinated, confident. You can see it in the way they sprint, hunched low but not frantic. They've survived the worst of it. They know it too. Some have made it past the wire entirely. You can see them ducking behind wreckage and boulders, 10 metres from your position. Close enough to recognise the expressions on their faces. Young, tired, angry. Same as yours. You fire one shot. To miss. The man ducks. You don't try again. You wait. You glance down at the ground and see spent casings littered like shell-shaped gravel. Hundreds. You don't remember firing that many. But they're yours. Most of them anyway. Someone behind you asks, quietly, if you've got any rounds to spare. You don't answer. Just shake your head. He nods like he already knew. He moves off, rifle slung behind him, holding a sidearm that might as well be made of wood. Someone else is scavenging the fallen, pulling pouches from uniforms, flipping corpses over for half-used clips. You've seen it before. Done it yourself. You think about doing it again, but stop. The next blast might make it pointless. Your nerves are gone, not broken, just gone, like a wire that's been cut too many times and doesn't reconnect anymore. You don't flinch when shells land nearby. You don't duck when bullets snap overhead. Your body just absorbs it now. Noise, movement, heat. It all just passes through. You used to breathe fast during shelling. Now your lungs forget to try. You have to remind yourself. In, out, repeat. Someone is crying, not loud, just quietly. Into a sleeve. You glance sideways. It's one of the younger recruits, maybe 16. He's shaking, not from cold, from awareness. You look away. He's not going to last the hour. Your hands are sore. Not from injury, just tension. Every tendon stretched to the point of snapping. You try to flex your fingers and feel them creak like rusted hinges. You touch your face and realise you've been clenching your jaw so hard your teeth hurt. The sun's higher now. Brighter. It burns through the smoke like a spotlight revealing too much. There's no comfort in daylight anymore. Just visibility for both sides. You don't want to be seen. A voice cracks through the radio again. Broken, staticky. Reinforcements delayed. Not cancelled, just delayed, which is worse. Cancelled means done. Delayed means keep hoping. Hope is dangerous. You reach into your jacket for the letter again. Not to read, just to touch. Paper's soft now. Almost a part of the fabric. You hold it for a moment, then let it go. You peek over the edge. One American is moving toward the trench. Crawling. Low. Careful. You sight in. Breathe. Then stop. He's pulling a wounded man behind him. Not yours. His. You let them go. No decision made, just fatigue. You duck down again. Your boot slips in the mud. You steady yourself with one hand. It lands on something soft. You don't look. You think about water. Not because you're thirsty. You've stopped feeling that. Just because there's none left in your canteen. And you don't remember the last time you drank something that didn't taste like rust or tin. You lick your lips. Dry. Cracked. Your tongue feels like it's coated in powder. You hear someone whisper, they're past the second line. You don't respond. You just keep watching. The gunfire is more distant now. Not gone, just relocated. Shifted inward. Toward the places you're supposed to defend next. You don't know how you'll get there. You don't even know if you'll try. A small part of you wonders what it would feel like to run. Just turn and sprint inland. Through the woods. Into the unknown. But your legs don't buy into the fantasy. They stay put. You fire again. Hit nothing. You think. You don't check. You reload your last 3 rounds. That's it. 3. You sit back and rest the rifle across your lap. It looks heavier than it did this morning. Feels heavier too. Like it knows. You look around and see the others doing the same. Still in their places? Still watching? Still obeying? But it's different now. Not courage. Just inertia. No one wants to be the first to break formation. Or the last. The smoke lifts slightly and you see 2 soldiers, not yours, moving up the left flank. You raise your rifle, then lower it. They disappear behind debris. You wait. You're not defending anymore. You're delaying. The line isn't held. It's fraying. Like thread unravelling under weight it was never meant to bear. You close your eyes for a second, just a second. You think about something good. You fail. You open them again. The trench is quieter now, not safe, just out of targets. You don't take that as a blessing. You take it as a warning. The next wave will be closer, and you'll be out of everything but yourself. They don't scream anymore. That's the first thing you notice. Earlier, every injury came with noise. Howling, crying, someone yelling their own name like they could keep themselves present if they just said it enough times. Now there's just breathing. Slow, shallow, wet breathing. The kind that bubbles. The kind you don't recover from. The wounded are everywhere. Slumped against trench walls, sprawled in collapsed dugouts, curled up beside ammo crates that aren't even worth the weight they were carried in with anymore. They don't ask for help. They already did. Hours ago. The medics are gone. The stretchers too. If you're still lying there now, it's because someone either left you or stepped over you. You do both. You move through the trench like a ghost now. Rifle in one hand, other hand out to steady yourself on walls that shift every time another shell lands. You're looking for something. A new position. A body that isn't quite a body yet. Maybe even a familiar face. You find all three. The guy from yesterday's post, the one who used to hum under his breath when he reloaded, is lying sideways against a mound of dirt. His helmet's off. His eyes are open. He's not breathing. You kneel beside him for a moment, not out of grief, just out of habit. You close his eyes. They open again. You don't try twice. There's another soldier behind a sandbag pile, still alive, barely. His leg is gone, just gone, wrapped in something. Cloth, maybe a shirt, maybe part of a flag. He sees you, tries to smile, or maybe he's just trying to speak. You give him your last sip of water. He nods once, then leans back. You move on. A radio guy you used to share smokes with is curled into the dirt with a piece of shrapnel in his neck. Not deep, not fatal, but bad enough that he can't talk. He looks at you like he's asking a question. You don't have the answer. You squeeze his shoulder and keep walking. You pass a body missing a face. You don't know who it was. The uniform's familiar. Could have been anyone. You pass another that's still warm. You feel it when your boot brushes their hand. You don't stop. You turn a corner in the trench and find a man sitting upright. Helmet still on. Rifle in his lap. Looks like he's guarding the line. Except he's not. His head's tilted at the wrong angle. There's a hole in the side of his coat the size of a clenched fist. You nod at him anyway and keep moving. Doesn't feel right to ignore him. The trench ends where it shouldn't. Collapsed in on itself from a direct hit. Smoke still leaking from the crater. You skirt around it, careful not to step on the wrong kind of ground. There are wires here. Tripwires. Mines. Maybe. Hard to tell. You walk like every step might be your last, because it might. Further down, another man groans. Loud, ragged. You look over the edge and see him curled in the mud. Hands pressed to his stomach. Shirt soaked black. You can see the wound, but not the damage. Doesn't matter. It's too late. He sees you and reaches out. Not begging. Just reflex. You kneel. Pull his hand away. His eyes go wide, then dull, then nothing. You stay there for a while. Long enough to feel something try to rise in your chest. Regret? Sadness? You push it down. No room for that here. You stand. Wipe your hand on your coat. Move again. The trench is quieter with every minute. Not from peace, just subtraction. Less yelling. Less movement. Less everything. What remains are the sounds of things that can't be fixed. Bones grinding. Metal shifting. Men whispering to no one. You stop at a supply post. What's left of one? The crates are splintered. Most of the contents burned. But there's a small roll of bandages still dry. You take it. Not for you. You don't know who it's for. Just something to carry that doesn't feel like guilt. You see another soldier dragging himself down the line. One leg behind him, useless. His rifle's gone. Face caked in ash. He doesn't speak, doesn't need to. You nod. He nods back. That's all. Then you find him. Your bunkmate. The one who never slept. Who counted ceiling cracks out loud. Who snored when he finally passed out and laughed when you told him he did. He's lying on his side, curled up like he's just trying to keep warm. Eyes closed. No wounds you can see. You call his name. Nothing. You crouch and check his pulse. There's one. Faint, but there. He opens his eyes, blinks slowly. You ask if he can move. He doesn't answer. Just stares. You lift him by the shoulder. He winces. But he doesn't cry out. You start pulling him back. Slow, dragging him by his arm, then under both. Your boots slip in the mud. You curse. He doesn't react. You keep going. 1 metre at a time. A shell lands not far off. The shockwave knocks you sideways. You land half on him. Your ears ring, again. You sit up, check his face. Still breathing? Still there? You leave him in a dugout, sheltered from view. You press the bandage into his hand. You don't say anything. There's nothing to say. You climb back out, back to the line, if there still is one, because most of them are gone now. And the rest are silent. You haven't moved in 15 minutes, maybe 20. You're crouched behind a ledge of shattered earth, and what used to be part of a bunker wall. It's cracked now, full of bullet holes, dirt leaking from the seams like the land itself is bleeding. You press your back against it, like it might still offer protection. It doesn't. You could fall back, technically, if there were anywhere to fall back to, but there isn't. Behind you, the trench line is gone, eroded, flattened, blown apart and trampled over by both sides. You saw the command post get shelled an hour ago. It folded in on itself like paper in a fire. You haven't heard from anyone since. Still, you stay. It's not bravery, you're not holding ground. You're not covering a flank. You're just stuck. Standing feels like suicide. Running feels like surrender. And moving at all feels like volunteering for something you didn't ask for. So you sit, knees tight to your chest, rifle across your lap, head low, helmet pulled down over your eyes. You haven't blinked in a while. Every time you think about shifting your weight, your legs argue, not with pain, with refusal, like they've accepted that your body's best contribution to this war is stillness. Round you, the world doesn't stop. It just changes shape. The Americans have moved up again. You hear them more than you see them. Boots scraping on rock. Quiet shouts pass between squads. The click of metal on metal. They're within grenade range now. Probably already past you in some places. You haven't looked. You don't want to confirm what you already know. You check your weapon. Again. You're not sure why. You have maybe 1 round left. 2 if you miscounted. You can't remember the last time you fired. Might have been 30 minutes ago. Might have been 2 days. Doesn't matter. There's no point in shooting anymore. You couldn't stop them with a full magazine, let alone what's left. They're not a wave now. They're a tide, constant, inescapable. They move forward even when you can't see them. They take ground just by waiting for you to give it up. You reach for your canteen. It's light. You shake it. Nothing. You try drinking anyway. Reflex. It's dry. You stare at it, Then let it fall into the dirt. It makes no sound. Your breathing has slowed. Not relaxed, just reluctant. Each inhale feels borrowed. Each exhale feels like surrender. You've been doing it automatically for so long that remembering you're still alive feels like a mistake. You look at your hands. They're not shaking anymore. That's not a good sign. They've just run out of tremors. You flex your fingers. They obey. That surprises you. You glance left. Nothing. Just smoke and debris. You glance right. Same. Somewhere, someone is whispering. Not to anyone. Just to themselves. It sounds like numbers. Maybe coordinates. Maybe prayers. Yet you don't care. You think about standing, not to move, just to change position. Your knees disagree, loudly. You grimace and shift anyway. It takes longer than it should. Every joint protests like you're asking too much. You crouch again and lean forward, elbows on your knees, helmet sliding down. You blink. Dust sticks to your eyelashes. You don't bother wiping it away. Someone runs past you. German uniform, young, rifleless. His footfalls slap against the mud, and then he's gone. No one shoots at him. Maybe no one sees him. Maybe no one cares. You don't follow. You don't even turn your head. That's what retreat looks like now. Not coordinated, not commanded, just solitary decisions made by people who've had enough. You think about following him. You don't. Because where would you go? There's no rear anymore. No regroup point. No line to fall back to. Everything behind you is rubble and smoke. You'd just be running in the wrong direction slower than usual. So you sit. You don't close your eyes. Not fully. Just let your vision blur a little. The world gets softer, almost kind. Then a round snaps overhead and bites into the sand behind you. You flinch hard. Your body still remembers how. You duck lower, grip your rifle. Instinct kicks in. You peer over the edge. No one's aiming at you. Not directly. Probably just suppressing the trench ahead. You don't return fire. You can't. You check your last round. Still there. You touch it like it might change shape in your hand. You think about using it. Then you think about not using it. Then you think about nothing. There's no strategy now. Just survival. You're not a soldier. You're just an obstacle. Temporary. Optional. Another shell hits behind you. Not close enough to kill. Just enough to push you farther down into yourself. The concussion flattens the air. Your ears hum. You curl tighter. Someone crawls past you, bleeding from the side. You reach out, touch his sleeve. He doesn't stop, doesn't look, just keeps crawling, like gravity reversed and he's sinking deeper into the earth. You let go. You press your back against the wall again. Close your eyes, open them. The smoke thickens. Your breath shortens. You stay still. Because you can't run. And you can't stand. And the only thing left is to wait for someone else to move first. The sky turns grey before it turns black. You watch it shift through the smoke, like someone slowly closing a curtain they forgot to clean. It's still loud when it happens. The light fades, but the noise keeps going. The war doesn't care what time it is. Night doesn't bring silence. It just makes the screaming harder to aim. You adjust your helmet. Again. It's been slipping all day. The strap's crusted with sweat and dried blood. You gave up fixing it hours ago. Now you just shove it back down every time a blast knocks it sideways. A kind of ritual, meaningless but necessary. Somewhere nearby, someone lights a cigarette. You smell it before you see it. Burnt paper, smoke, the vague sting of tobacco, then the faint orange glow behind a sandbag. It disappears a few seconds later. No one wants to get shot because of a bad habit. You wish you had one. Something to do with your hands besides hold a rifle you're not using. The trench is quiet now, but not in a good way. No orders, no movement. Just a handful of soldiers. What's left of your unit? Scattered like trash across a battlefield no one's in charge of anymore. Some are curled up against the walls. Some are just staring out across the darkness. Eyes glazed, rifles idle. A few are asleep. Maybe. You don't know how? You try. You lean back, close your eyes and breathe through your mouth. Your body stays rigid. It doesn't trust you to rest. A flare goes up. White light floods the trench like lightning without thunder. You wince. Your eyes adjust too slowly. You see the world again for half a second. Broken helmets, bent rifles, boot prints pressed into blood-soaked dirt. Then the flare fades, and the darkness eats everything again. You're grateful. In the dark, at least. It's harder to see how bad it is. But the sounds don't go away. Distant artillery. Short bursts of machine gun fire. Somewhere, someone's still fighting. You just don't know where. Or why. You're not sure they do either. You pull your coat tighter. The temperature's dropped. The dampness in your clothes has gone cold. Your fingers feel stiff. Not from injury, just from stillness. You check your pockets. Nothing new. An empty pack of rations. A crumpled letter. The last bullet. You turn the letter over once, twice, then slide it back in. You glance toward the beach. You can't see it anymore, but you know they're still there. The Americans. Somewhere out in the dark. Probably regrouping. Maybe setting up. They don't need to rush. They already own the day. Now they're just inheriting the night. You don't know what your orders are anymore. You don't think anyone does. Hold a position? Fall back? Wait? You're doing all three at once. You hear movement. Someone shifting behind you. You turn, half expecting the worst. It's just one of your own, dragging himself to a slightly better piece of wall. He nods. You nod back. No words. Nothing to say. Someone further down mutters something. You can't make it out. He says it again. Still nothing. Then he goes quiet. Maybe fell asleep. Maybe didn't. You close your eyes again. The ground is uneven, but you don't care. You lean your head against the dirt. The wall's still warm in some places, from the sun, from blood. You don't ask which. You think about sleep. You want to, but every time your mind drifts, your body jerks, like it's warning you. Don't let go. Don't relax. Not yet. You press your fingers into your thigh to stay awake. It works. Barely. A voice calls out in the dark. Not close. Not in German. You sit up straighter. Rifle in hand. But nothing happens. No gunfire, no reply. Just that voice maybe calling for someone. Then fading. You wait. Still nothing. You lean back down. But you don't let go of the rifle this time. The quiet stretches. It's not peaceful. Just stretched. Thin. Fragile. Like a surface that's about to break. You stare at the sky. No stars. Too much smoke. You listen to your own breathing. It sounds like someone else's. You try not to think about the morning. You fail. Because the night's not here to help. It's just a darker place to wait for the next awful thing. You wake up without meaning to. Not all at once. Just piece by piece. First your eyes open, then your hands remember where they are, then your spine reminds you what it's like to sleep pressed against a trench wall made of frozen dirt and ash. You sit up, slowly. Everything cracks. Your knees sound like glass under pressure. Your neck doesn't turn without complaint. You blink. The world is still grey. Not from smoke anymore. From light. Early morning. Diffused through clouds. Cold. You hear wind. Nothing else at first. Then you realise it's quiet. Not silent. Quiet. The kind of quiet that feels wrong. You're not used to it. You've spent the last day inside a machine made of screams and metal. Now there's just the wind and the sound of someone's boot scuffing against stone 2 positions over. You look down at your rifle, still in your lap, still loaded, useless now. No one's firing, no one's yelling. You glance over the edge of the trench, carefully, cautiously, like the war might still be out there waiting to punch you in the teeth for looking. The beach is there, still wrecked, still crawling with movement, but different now. The Americans are on it, but not charging, not firing, just moving, setting up, securing, burying. You see stretchers, cranes, equipment you don't recognise, the kind they bring after they know they've won. You slide back down. You take inventory of your body. A scratch on your temple. A bruise on your hip. Nothing broken. You were lucky. Again. Still. Somehow. Then you take inventory of something else. What's missing? Your section's gone. What used to be your section? The bunker team. The machine gunners. The runners. The comms guy. All gone. You don't know where or when. Some during the shelling. Some during the push. Some in the night. What's left are fragments. Faces that look familiar, but different. Men who used to speak. Now they just stare. Or whisper. Or breathe with difficulty. No one's talking about orders anymore. No one's reporting in. No one's saluting. You pick up your canteen and shake it. Still empty. Still dry. You don't bother drinking. You think about standing. Not because you need to move, just to see if you still can. You try. Your legs complain. They hold. Barely. You climb out of the trench. You expect to get shot. You don't. No one reacts. A few heads turn, but that's it. You step forward. One step. Then another. You feel taller than you did yesterday. Not stronger. Just more aware of how far you can fall. You walk to what used to be the forward line. It's flat now, blown open. Nothing left but a few scattered helmets and a burnt-out ammunition box. You pick up one of the helmets. Not yours. Not anybody's anymore, just an empty shell. You drop it. You look out over the field. It doesn't look like a battlefield anymore. It looks like a mistake that took too long to clean up. You feel nothing. Not relief. Not sorrow. Not pride. Just weight. The weight of having done what you were told. Every order followed. Every protocol obeyed. Every minute endured exactly as expected. You wonder what it cost you. Not the obvious things. Friends, blood, sleep. Those are easy to see. You wonder about the other parts, the way your thoughts sound now, the way your hands shake at nothing, the way you feel less inside your own body than you did before. You think about who you were before the landing. Some guy in a uniform. Anxious, maybe, but full. You had routines. You had a face that looked different in a mirror. You used to laugh more. Or at all. Now? Now your reflection would flinch from itself. You're not a soldier anymore? Not really. You're something that was processed through fire and came out wrong. Still walking, still talking, still here, but changed. Peeled back. That's the price. You did what they asked. You held the line. You defended your post. You stayed until the bullets stopped and the smoke cleared. And now you're alive, if you want to call it that. But whoever you were before, he didn't survive, you did. And you have to carry both. The sun's higher now. You feel it on your face, but it doesn't warm you. Just remind you that time still works. That the planet didn't stop turning just because you did. The Americans are past the beach. past the bunkers. They're moving inland. Convoys, trucks, men with maps, radios on their backs and fresh uniforms without blood on the sleeves yet. They've cleared most of the coast already. There's nothing here left to take. You're still in the trench, sitting, rifle across your knees like a prop from a bad play that's already ended. You haven't fired a shot since yesterday. There's no one left to shoot at. You stand, you walk. You don't know where you're going, so you pick the direction where no one's shouting and nothing's on fire. Your boots drag through the mud, like they're just as tired of this place as you are. You pass a medical unit, not yours. American. They glance at you. One gestures towards you, says something you don't catch. You raise your hands, not fast. Just enough to say, not right now. They don't shoot, they don't salute either. You keep walking, no one stops you. There's no command structure left. No checkpoints, no objectives. You pass what used to be your outpost. A crater now, filled with the broken pieces of gear and uniforms and things you won't identify. You don't stop. You've already seen too much. What's one more hole in the ground? Eventually you find a ridge overlooking the fields inland. You sit down, not to scout, not to plan, just to be somewhere that isn't the trench. The wind touches your face. You close your eyes for a second, then open them again. You don't want to fall asleep. You don't want to dream. The sound of war is quieter here, more distant, but not gone. You hear gunfire from the hills, tank engines rumbling along a dirt road to the east, planes overhead, not bombing, just circling, watching. They're already fighting somewhere else. The front line has moved. The war marches on. And you don't. You're not part of it anymore. Not because you deserted. Not because you surrendered. But because whatever made you a soldier, the chain of command, the mission, the urgency, it's broken now. Scraped out of you by shrapnel, fatigue, and the slow erosion of self. You did your part. You followed every order. You stayed until the line vanished. You survived. And now you don't know what to do with that. No medals. No fanfare. No moment of recognition. Just breath. And bones. And boots that still work. You sit until your legs go numb. You look down at your hands. They're still yours. But different now. More bone than flesh. More ash than skin. A medic walks past, doesn't look at you. Just moves toward the beach, probably to carry someone who didn't get as lucky as you. You think about standing again. You don't. You just sit. The dirt shifts under you as another distant shell lands miles away. A soft thud. Nothing close. Just a reminder that somewhere, someone else is going through what you already did. You exhale. Not relief, just release. The war is still moving, but you're not. Not today. Maybe not ever. If you made it this far, somehow, thanks for listening. War stories usually end with flags or speeches, or slow motion scenes where someone stares into the sunset like they learned something. But this one just ends. Because that's what war does. It keeps going, even when you don't. If this helped you fall asleep, you might want to talk to someone about that. But either way, I appreciate you being here. Leave a comment if you're still awake. Or don't. And subscribe if you want more stories where the only victory is making it to the end of the video with most of your sanity still intact. Sleep well. Or try to. Good night.